What's up, YouTube? Siegfried Tulane, and today we're talking about something other than games. We're talking about the new Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I will see you guys in just a minute. So, Netflix has just released the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action series, and I, for one, was extremely excited to see it. I had a lot of hope in the characters. The characters actually looked correct. They were able to make the animals correct. Everything looked like it was going to be really good. I mean, like, if you look at this poster, right, it looks really good. Um, but then I watched the first episode. Now, I'll be honest, the first 30 minutes of the episode are great. I thought that was really good because we actually didn't get to see that. And it really kind of shows just how, it kind of gives more oomph to how bad the Fire Nation really, really is, right? They really do put a lot of emphasis on the aspect of the war. I do think that was done really well. But I don't think this game, I think after that it really wasn't done very well. Um, I do think that they took away from what made the show so good. Now, everybody knows the show is not nearly as comedic as the original was. And I do think that that was actually extremely important for what made the original show so good. The comedy is what you'd expect from from a little boy, right? Aang, Aang feels more like Ong from the movie than Aang from the animated series. I'm gonna be honest. He feels a lot more just, oh, boo-hoo, poor me. And, you know, while Aang did have those feelings, that's not how he expresses them in the original series. And I do think that expressing them that way was not very good. So let's start with Aang. The first scene of Aang is great. It shows Aang how I'd expect to see him. But after that, he's too serious. He's too focused. And the thing about Aang in the original series, if you go back and you watch the original series, Aang is a masterclass procrastinator. He does not want to learn the bending. He doesn't like learning bending. I mean, like, if water bending he was fine with, but once you get to the earth bending stage, he does not like earth bending because that's the weakest element for him to learn, and he absolutely hates fire bending, right? And if you take a look at him back when he has to learn them, he really doesn't want to learn them. I just recently went and rewatched book 3, where, right after Day of Black Sun, right? And he is obviously trying to procrastinate as long as possible because he just does not want to handle learning how to do firebending. So they took away that procrastination of Aang and made him feel less like a 12-year-old boy and more like, I don't know, like a 17-year-old in a 12-year-old's body. Somebody who's be more mature and understand, I gotta do this, versus what a 12-year-old boy is like right now. And I'm going to tell you, I teach. I know what 12-year-olds are like. They're not like that. So I do think that they completely destroyed Aang's character, which is sad because the actor... Oh, by the way, none of this is on the actors or actresses. I think the actors and actresses are they really good. They did what they were written really well. I think this is all on the writers, to be perfectly honest. So none of this is against the actors or actresses. Katara, I felt, was fine. I'm going to be honest. I felt Katara was fine because Katara in the first... what we would have seen of Katara, we can't see with what they did to Sokka. And we'll get to Sokka in a bit. But Katara, I think, was fine. I really felt like Katara was fine. Didn't really do... Like, it's what I expected of Katara. She played book 1 pretty well. A lot of people talk about how she was watered down. I feel like Katara was the only character that actually was okay. Zuko, I think, was okay. Yeah, Zuko's okay. I think they did Zuko fine. I don't think there's any issues with Zuko, but Zuko, again, isn't that hard of a character to write in book one. Zuko becomes harder to write, I think, in book two and book three. But book one, he's pretty easy to write. He's a typical obsessive villain, right? He's pretty easy, actually. Azula, don't got really many thoughts about Azula. I don't think she has enough scenes to really comment on that one. I think the actress personally looks too young for Azula because Azula, I don't know, maybe Azula might be the younger sister, but I thought Azula was an older sister. She might be a younger sister though, but nothing there so far. Fire Lord looks fine, but let's get to the big ones. Those are General Iroh. Iroh's character is not Iroh. What Iroh, like the thing about Iroh, right? At the end of book one, you understand that Iroh is not a bad guy. That Iroh is very, very knowledgeable about the spirit realm, and that Iroh will do whatever it takes to protect the spirits. Right? This is made very obvious in that last encounter between Zhao and Iroh. That encounter is done so well in the animation where it makes sense how Zhao actually did kill the spirit. But it doesn't make any sense in the movie because Iroh was just lazy in the movie. And he wasn't emotional and he wasn't affected. And even, that was bad enough as it was. Like when Iroh was sitting there like, anything you do to that spirit, I'll do to you tenfold. And it's like, that's not how he's... When you watch the actual animated version, that's not what happened. He was very, very powerful. And you can even see, like Zhao does not seem intimidated by Zhao in the movie. Zhao was intimidated by Iroh, sorry. Zhao was not intimidated by Iroh in the movie. Zhao was obviously intimidated by Iroh in the animated. You could just see he knew he could not take on Iroh. So I do feel like right there was one big bad mark against Iroh. The second one being the fact that Iroh did not stay and explain that Yuna had been touched by the spirit. He realized that. He looked at her and was like, you've been touched by the spirit. He is the only reason that the spirit came back was because he had realized that, knowing what he knows about spirits. I feel they removed a lot of aspects of Iroh which were really important. And it kind of undid Iroh's character. And if there's a characters I think you should not undo, Iroh is one of them. Sokka, another one you should not undo. I get they didn't want to make Sokka sexist. But they also removed Sokka's arrogance. That was the big thing. Sokka wasn't... let's be honest. Sokka wasn't sexist sexist in a way that I think is offensive. He was sexist in a way that is arrogant and made himself look like an idiot. Okay? When people watched Sokka in the original series, they didn't look at Sokka's sexism as a good thing. And it never did. Every time Sokka was sexist, it always bit him in the butt. It is good to give your characters flaws as long as you don't reward those flaws. That's what's important, right? And I think that was that they lost that point. Sokka was sexist, but he always got it in the end because of that. And it wasn't until Sokka humbled himself, realized that gender didn't mean anything in this, that he was able to become a good leader. They removed that aspect. And by removing that aspect, that's what softened Katara's character. Because how is Katara supposed to be aggressive when the person who agitates her aggression, Sokka, isn't aggressive? He's not sexist. He gives him no reason. But for me, that wasn't the biggest one. I do feel like Sokka was a comedic relief. And I do feel like that being gone took a good chunk of his character. So you have, when you think about Sokka, right? Here's Sokka in a nutshell in season 1. Sexist, arrogant, comedic, loyal. Right, those are his 4 traits. They removed all of them. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. When Zuko is showing up at the South Pole, and Sokka's reaction is to turn over the Avatar after they learn he's the Avatar, which they learned way too early. That was when I was done with the series, because they changed Sokka's character into, I think, a more negative, bad character. That was never Sokka. The minute Sokka found out he was the Avatar, Sokka went out to go rescue him. So I feel like that was a really bad one. And then Boomy. Oh my god, Boomy. So a lot of people actually didn't like they changed Boomy, and then as they watched it, they got okay with it. Okay, well, I'm not okay with it. Let me explain why. Boomy is part of the White Lotus. Boomy is part of a secret resistance. Boomy cannot be part of the White Lotus and have it make as much sense now because he was a corrupt politician. What people don't understand, what people don't forget, is that in the animated series, it wasn't about Aang teaching them. It was about them teaching Aang. Aang was the child. Aang had to learn. Aang had to learn what was important. And when they go to meet Boomy, Boomy teaches him. That was Boomy's role. Boomy was his educator. Boomy was his best friend before. So I think that removing Boomy, like destroying Boomy's character, there is no way that I can feel that that's a positive thing or even a neutral thing. That's just negative. Because Boomy was part of the White Lotus. Boomy is part of the resistance. It doesn't work, you know? So I think what they did in book 1 is going to really destroy things in book 2 and book 3. Yes, if you look at book 1 by itself, changing Boomy's character isn't going to have that big of an impact. But if you look at book 3, where Boomy comes back and you find out he's part of the White Lotus as well, it really is going to affect that. So, and then if you take a look at these changes they've done to Sokka, right? They destroyed all 4 key aspects of what made Sokka a good character. What made Sokka fun to watch. They destroyed that. What are they going to do to Toph? My god, dude. I'm worried about Toph. I don't even want to see what they do to Toph. Because if they're taking away Aang's comedic, if they take away the comedic aspect of Aang, they've taken away the comedic aspect of Sokka, what are they going to do to Toph? Like, all 3 of those characters have that comedic aspect because they're kids. I will not watch season 2 because they really did a good job of destroying important scenes from season 1. And season 1 isn't even that hard. Like, seriously, it wasn't that hard. I hear people say that it was written by fans of the show. I don't agree. I believe it was written by people who saw the show's popularity, thought that they could do it better by making it more serious, and overall just destroyed it. I would much preferred, and I know people might disagree, a 1-to-1 remake. If I say a remake, I want to see it 1-to-1. It's a remake. It's being made again. I want to see it remade. I want to see things, if they want to add some things, that's fine. But I don't want to see key aspects or key characteristics removed. I'm totally okay with the parts of the story being changed. That's totally fine. But for me, you don't change the characters. The characters stay the characters. One of the reasons I don't like the Final Fantasy VII Remake is because they made Cloud's character way more of a cuck than he was before. Not a fan of that. So, anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on this. I don't plan to watch any more. I think that it was a complete fucking mess. I don't think the writers did any respect to the series. I can completely see why the original writers said, screw it, we're out. It makes 100% sense. 100% sense. Anyways, guys, Siegfried Trelane signing out. If you guys have not done this yet, check out my Twitch channel, Siegfried88 Twitch TV. You can find it in the About section on my YouTube channel. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.